Okay, let's start the meeting then. I want to call the meeting of the planning board for June 15th, 2020 to order at 7:03 p.m. First thing on the agenda is the definitive OSRD subdivision plan entitled Windsong Acres, continuation of the public hearing. Do we have anyone from Windsong on?
Laurie, are you going to find out who's here? You're going to do a roll call first?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, roll call vote. Margaret Sweet?
Here.
John Souza?
Present.
Steve?
I'm present.
Taylor?
I'm present.
And our town planner?
Present.
And Lori Ann Miller? Present.
Absent is Kevin Mello.
And Kevin is not present.
You do have somebody here who's going to speak on behalf of Windsong.
Okay, we'll let them speak. Okay, you have the floor.
Good evening. My name is Steve Combe. I work with Prime Engineering located in Lakeville, Massachusetts. I'm a professional engineer registered in Massachusetts. I'm here tonight to present the open space subdivision, open space residential development off of Jason Drive called Windsong Acres, and that's on map 125, lots 19, 19-1 through 19-7. I was last in front of you December 2nd, 2019, where I gained some valuable feedback from this board along with the public. Last meeting I came, but we decided to postpone it to tonight due to technical difficulties. So since the last meeting, I've worked very closely with the Town of Dartmouth Planning Department and the Department of Public Works. And I feel like, yes, ma'am.
I just need to butt in for a minute. We need to let you know we're missing a member tonight again for some reason. We don't know why.
Okay, you're missing a member.
Yeah, we're missing Kevin Mello tonight. Again, if we don't make a decision tonight, he can review the meeting and sign off that he is all caught if we need to continue this. Christine, do you feel we're probably going to continue this, right? Christine?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go forward with your presentation, Steve, and then just have the vote the next time, or if you want to see where the board stands, or you want to just take your chance and vote. I mean, we have no word from Kevin. I did try to just call him. He's not answering. It's not like him to miss. You know, and I know we had that problem the last time as well, but with somebody different.
Right.
Well, I'm wondering if we're having a problem in this area with the with Wi-Fi and phones, because my phone's not working. My husband just told me his phone's not working.
Yeah, so I went to Kevin's voicemail.
So is there another planning board meeting in the month of June? Because, you know, we continued this already, and, you know, I think the applicant's really looking to make some progress. I know that we're kind of bound to do these Zoom meetings, but it seems like it's...
Yeah, well, I can say we had been having pretty good luck, just for some reason.
So now,
Christine and Lori, if I could make a suggestion, what if we just do some of the administrative items for 20 or 30 minutes, and maybe Kevin will appear, and maybe we could keep the Windsong thing alive if that happens, and make the decision 20, 30 minutes from now if it can't happen.
Yeah, we can change the order of the agenda.
Yeah,
if you want to
exactly.
do that might be best. That's a
I'm
good
happy
idea.
to wait. I'm happy to wait if you think that there's a chance Kevin might call in.
Yeah, he normally doesn't do this at all.
Yeah,
So.
he's usually very reliable.
right. Okay, so why don't we do that? Why don't we wait a few minutes and we'll go on to some of the other things on the agenda, because there are some here that are fairly simple.
Motion to recess the public hearing.
Second.
What was your motion?
To recess the public hearing.
And I seconded it.
Thank you. Okay. I need a roll call vote. Margaret Sweet?
Yes, I vote for that.
John Souza?
Yes.
Steve Taylor?
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, yes. So we will recess the Windsong Acres public hearing and continue at a later time this evening. Okay, let's go to, is Joseph Hamill here?
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
Okay, we have an appointment with you to talk about next era energy resources.
Yes.
You have the floor.
Yes, thank you. So I appreciate you all hearing me again. I am here because we are looking to withdraw our spring article, from the spring annual town meeting, and we have gone ahead and reapplied for the fall annual town meeting, noting that the biggest hiccup in the past was the covenant that was not in place. So really all I'm looking for in this meeting, we have drafted a covenant and I had sent it over to Christine. And so I'm looking to just kind of get that ball rolling and see if the board could help us out in getting a town attorney to review the covenant so we can get this in place prior to meeting again for the fall town meeting when we meet with the planning board and have this discussion a second time.
So
Christine?
to back up a little bit, Joe did, he had the paperwork filed for the withdrawal from Springtown meeting, but there was some issue with some of the withdrawal signatures or something like that. So what will happen on the day of the town meeting is one of the voting members, Joe has asked that one of the planning board voting members just get up and withdraw the citizen's petition. So Margaret and I had spoken about it. If Margaret's still comfortable doing it, or else we, because I think it would probably be better if we had somebody like that than as opposed to the chair who's going to speak on everything else. Everybody's been notified that this is going to happen in some capacity, that it will be formally withdrawn, but we just couldn't make the deadline. So now Joe has come forward and he's given, as part of John's request and review, here's Kevin now. There was some talk about the restrictive covenant and everything. So the problem that Joe and I are running into now is that I can't just go to town council and ask them to do it, but the planning board has asked for that type of language. So I guess what we're trying to figure out tonight is how best to move forward, if that's whether or not we can put the request in on behalf of the planning board and do it, that way. So I guess we need more direction from John, because this is what you asked for, how best to go about it for the fall.
Well, the applicant doesn't have access to town council. So if the planning board is interested in this proposal, with a restrictive covenant, we have a draft in front of us. I suggest we have a meeting with town council. If it's the planning board wishes that they agree with me that I'd like to have some kind of assurance that this property can't be developed as a commercial property, and if we rezone it. And is this covenant the best way to do it as drafted? So if the planning board agrees to that, we can get town council in, let them know what our intentions are, have him review it, and
so this would become a planning board sponsored warrant article. It would not be
no.
It would be a citizen petition.
No, it would be a citizen's petition. All we're saying is that we reviewed the covenant. So if they came back with a citizen's petition next fall, the planning board would have to conduct a public hearing. We would have hopefully some kind of comments from town council on what we were looking for, and if that appeases the planning board would make a favorable motion at that point to town meeting. But it would still be a citizen's petition in my views. I don't think the planning board should move forward with rezoning this single parcel.
Town council will not review this unless we send this to him and ask him to, and I'm not sure he's going to review it as a citizen's petition because he's made that comment before.
No, the citizen's petition is before us, so he's working for us. He's not working with the applicant. So the planning board is looking for some assurances. This is what the draft we have in front of us. Town council, give us a document that gives us assurances, whether it's a covenant, a deed restriction, whatever. It goes back to the applicant, and if the planning board agrees with it, then they decide.
So do you want to make a motion to send this restrictive covenant to town council and ask them to review it and come to a meeting?
Well,
with
I'd
us
like to
as soon
have
as
town
possible?
council come to a meeting. And let's.
Yeah, we
again,
have to send, we can't just have him come to a meeting. We would need to send him this first and tell him to come to a meeting so he'd have it in his hand, at least to look at it before he comes. You don't want to
Well, I'm not
blindside.
that this is the tool to achieve our objectives. And that's why we need to get town council first. Our objectives is some kind of, and I think the planning board agrees with me, is that we have some kind of guarantee on restricting this piece of property. The applicant has proposed this. Town council, what do you suggest that the planning board can move forward with and vote maybe be favorable at a subsequent public hearing?
Yeah, but don't you want to send this to him so he has it before he comes to the meeting? So
Yeah.
he has an idea?
He has an idea, but I'd like to,
Yeah.
I don't
I want him to have
sure.
this before he comes.
Yeah,
Because
but
if
I
he comes to
want
the
him
meeting and
this-
just sits there and says, well, I got to read it and analyze it, with, wasting his time. Have him read it and
this may
analyze
not
it.
be
And then,
the best- this may not be the best tool for the town.
right,
So
that's why
that's
he needs
why
to
I'd
see
like
it.
to have him come to a meeting with this and say, hey,
Right, with this.
what's your objective? What do you want to accomplish here? And then have him draft something or rewrite this or approve it,
Okay, so the motion will be that we,
Well, is it premature? We don't have a citizen's petition in front of us yet for a fall town meeting.
The problem was before, when you asked for the restrictive covenant, town council wouldn't review it.
yeah,
They did not review a citizen's petition. That's the same thing
The
that.
town council wouldn't review it because the applicant was trying to get access to town council. It has to come from the planning board. So the request has to come from the planning board.
But you asked for this document in this particular case. You asked for this document.
I asked for a proposal to us, a deed restriction or a
Right.
covenant,
Right.
that we have some kind of deed. So now they presented it to us. There's no more, they're withdrawing the article. So we have nothing before us. So we
Sure.
have to wait till,
Excuse me, John, sorry to interrupt you,
Yep.
but we have gotten the article into the town for the fall town meeting as well, and that's
Okay.
that has been delivered. So we have the withdrawal that we submitted. It just
Yep.
they went to people that weren't on the original application. That was the issue. We didn't have enough signatures because I directed landowners to get signatures and told them to go to the previous ones, but they went to new ones. Anyways, that's why we're asking for the town board to now go and formally withdraw it because it wasn't done properly with the right signatures. But along with that, we got the new signatures for the annual town meeting for the fall. So we are all squared away going towards that.
and has
The
that been
deadline-
certified by the town clerk? I mean, so have you officially filed that paperwork? And
Yes, we've officially
Yep.
filed it, and it's in their hands. The
Yep.
last day I understand to submit that article is July 22nd. I just want to, I'm not exactly 100% sure what you're proposing, but I want to make sure that whatever we do gives us enough time to wrap all this up before the next planning board meeting, which I imagine would be probably, like August or so for that October
Yep.
town meeting?
June 29th is the next meeting.
no, he's talking about for
No,
the
no.
the public hearing area time.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, ma'am.
yeah, I
So my
Yeah.
fear is that
relying
we,
on town council's review. I don't know how quickly he can
Yeah.
turn something around, so.
and I'm not trying to get him to rush through, but I also don't want to push out a month for him to look at it for the first time and then another month to review, and then suddenly we're pushed up against time again.
Mhm.
Okay, so John, do you still feel that you want to, I think the best way to handle this is that we, if he's already passed in all the paperwork, he's passed in the signatures. If he has the same signatures he had last time, then he'll be on the warrant, hopefully, or unhopefully, depending on how people look at it. So do you want to make a motion to,
I make a motion
have-
that we send a request to town council to review this document because the planning board may be interested in the fall in approving, recommending a citizen's petition. And the planning board would like to know the best tool to have some guarantees on the property remained as they propose only for a solar farm.
Okay, so the next question is, Christine, along with this, we need to send them the date that we would be having to hold this public hearing.
Okay.
So that we have an answer from town council in a timely fashion.
Okay.
Well, like I said,
I think go ahead.
I think it's require a meeting with town council to find out exactly what our intentions are, you know.
Right. But we also need to have the deadlines. He's already submitted it, so he's met that deadline. But where's the deadline for us to hold the public hearing? And to then get our answer to this finance committee, the Board of Selectmen, and Lynn for the warrant. So with all those dates in mind, if we're going to send something to town council, if we can give him those deadlines, then we know he'll meet those parameters.
Yep.
Okay.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I would second John's motion. I support what he's trying to do, and I would urge that we simply ask town council to show up at our June 29th meeting to give us the information that John's looking for, which I agree with, and then we can go forward in the most possible timely fashion. The solar plan is a good idea, but I understand the concern that we don't want something else to happen by accident if the solar farm falls through. So let's see if we can keep it on rails and have town council join us at the June 29th meeting, at least for 10 minutes, and explain it to us.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have them at the next meeting. Yep.
Right.
And
Okay,
just
so
to,
go ahead.
sorry, and just to put it out there very kindly and candidly, my landowner is very intent on going into like development housing of some sort if this doesn't go through. And I think it's our intent and our landowner's intent to make it a solar farm, not anything else. So we're really trying to do whatever it is that we can to help get this restrictive covenant in place to make it a win-win for everybody. But I think if it doesn't go through, our landowners has made it very clear to me, at least, what he intends to do. So.
Yeah, and that confirms my point of view that we want to make this pass for a lot of different reasons, and that is one of them.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor. Margaret Sweet?
Yes.
Margaret?
Yes.
John Souza? Okay, John
Yes.
Souza?
Yes.
Steve Taylor?
Yes.
Kevin Mello?
Yes.
Welcome. And Lori Ann Miller, yes. Okay, so we will, I'll have town planner get in touch with you so that you can attend the next meeting when town council is with us, so that you can listen, or if he wants to speak to you, you can speak, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all. Appreciate your help.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, now let's go back to number 1, definitive subdivision plan entitled Windsong Acres. The developer there.
Good evening. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for being patient.
No, thank you for your sage advice to wait a few minutes. And I'm just going to start over again very quickly here. My name's Steve Combe. I work for Prime Engineering. I'm representing the applicant on this site. This site is called Windsong Acres. I'm a professional engineer registered in Massachusetts. I'm here tonight to present an open space residential development off of Jason Drive. And that's on map 125, lots 19, 19-1 through 19-7. I was last in front of you December 2nd, 2019, where I gained some valuable feedback from not only this board, but from the public. Since that last meeting, I've been working very closely with the town planning department, as well as the town Department of Public Works. And to this date, we've satisfied their comments. I'm going to share my screen here because I last was here in December, so I thought it might be good just to allow everyone to kind of get their bearings on where I'm talking about in the town. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the project is off of Jason Drive, shown here. which is off of Russell Mills Boulevard and Tucker Road. Just to kind of get a bearing, normally we're meeting up here at the town hall, but because of the COVID, we're obviously doing the Zoom meeting. And let me show you what this looks like on the first sheet of your plan set. We have the development here off of Jason Drive, what we're proposing. I'm going to quickly go over the existing conditions plan. Now, this viewport has been rotated, so north is facing to the bottom right of your screen. Basically, the wetland line has been approved by Conservation Commission via an ORAD. The property line has been completed through an instrument survey performed by Prime Engineering. This land is zoned single residence A, and it's approximately 10.2 acres. We have previously submitted a conventional subdivision, which you also have in your packet, showing that we can get 5 lots out of this land. This land has upland area as well as wetland area, and you can see the wetland line here, as well as on the existing conditions. I'm gonna shoot back quick. I'm trying not to switch too quickly so no one gets dizzy here. Right, so there's the wetland line shown here with all the flagging and the numbers. So the conventional subdivision, which is the last page in your plan set, we have 5 lots of 40,000 square feet of upland area, 32,000 of contiguous upland, and then 150 feet of frontage. What we're proposing to do is an open space development, which in the town of Dartmouth, according to the regulations, an open space residential development is the preferred form of residential development in the town of Dartmouth. So this is an overall site plan here, and you can see Jason Drive's going along the bottom of your sheet. Again, the viewport has been twisted. We have 1 lot off of Jason Drive, and we have 2 lots off of a proposed private right-of-way here. And then we have a final 2 lots off of a common drive, which begins here. Notice that there's a wetland crossing located right here, and there'll be a replication area in these 3 locations, 1, 2, 3, to make up for that area where we're doing the crossing. Now I'm going to quickly go to the grading and utility plan. Basically, this development is planned to be serviced by public sewer, public water. The homes located on the 5 different lots will have infiltration chambers, so the roof runoff will be routed to the infiltration chambers on site. The runoff from the road and the driveways will all be routed to this pocket detention wetland here. Excuse me, pocket wetland detention pond right here. So basically the road is graded in such a way that water runs down and then into a small curb break right here, and then down this section of the common drive into a small curb break, into a 4-bay, into a pocket detention wetland, and then into the wetlands. And we've worked very closely with the Department of Public Works on this design to get it to meet all the town of Dartmouth standards. Post-development runoff conditions are less than or equal to pre-development, which is what the regulations require. So this concludes my brief presentation. But just to close, you know, we're proposing 5 homes on land zone single residence A. We've satisfied the Department of Public Works and the planning comments. As I mentioned before, open space residential development is preferred in the town of Dartmouth according to the regulations. And you know, by doing the layout this way, we are preserving quite a bit of open space which will remain intact, which I think is a very big value for the town and the value of laying out the plan this way. And I think it should be looked upon favorably if possible. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions or respond to any comments that you may have. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you.
Christine, do you want to go? Well, I'll go to the board first. Any questions from the board members?
Laurie, I have some questions.
Go right ahead.
My first question is, I noticed that all the houses are going to need cellar drains.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. My second question is, on the open space land, how much of that open space land, what's the percentage of wetland that you're giving the town with the open space?
So, I mean, a percentage of the open space is wetland, but that is not listed as a requirement of the open space subdivision.
I understand that. I'm asking a question. Is it all wet? Is it all wetlands?
No, it's not all wetlands. So you can see the wetland line is here. I'm going to share my screen again. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Please share your screen. I have a question related to that too.
Sure. Okay. So again, this is a zoom in of the site. If we look at the existing conditions, right, you can see the wetland line. Here's Jason Drive, right? The wetland line, starting with flag A1 here, meanders this way, across, comes up, back around. So there's the wetland line. I just traced it. Hopefully that was, I can do it again more slowly. Go the opposite way. There's this little kind of finger of wetlands that pokes out, which we'll be crossing to access some of this upland area here. And this is the site layout plan, which also has that wetland line. So you'll see that there's a chunk of wetland upland area to the north of the proposed homes, which will be part of the open space, as well as some area in between the houses on lots 4 and 5 here.
And how is the public, when the public is supposed to access this, when they access this, do they walk into uplands or are they walking into wetlands?
The public could, there's a few ways that they could access it.
With the access that you have on the plan,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have an access point on the plan, do you not?
Yes.
Okay, when they use that, that's the one I'm concerned about now. When they use that access plan, are they walking into wetlands or upland?
So as you can see here, this is one access point to open space, and this is upland area just past the wetland crossing here into upland area.
And the rest is all wetlands?
And this is upland area here. So you can see the line here, and then downward, or I guess that's towards the east, is upland area located here. Additionally, you know, this area over here is also upland area. So they can access upland area, if that's your question. Yes.
And they're gonna access the upland area by going down the driveway?
It's a common drive after this point here.
Right.
So yes, they'd have to go onto the common drive to access the upland area.
And where would the public park?
The public would park, I mean, we're not proposing a parking lot. You know, we're trying to give the most amount of open space, non-developed land as part of this development. So they would park on either the right of way or the common drive.
Okay, I have one more question. I noticed that one of the waivers, I guess you didn't use a landscape architect?
So we used to, so in the regulations, as I was reading, you know, the types of plants are outlined pretty meticulously on what the town prefers. So we used to our staff wetland scientist to lay out the silver maple trees that are going along the right of way on the entrance in.
So you did not use a landscape architect for any of these plans?
No, we didn't have a landscape architect
Okay.
stamp them, no.
Okay. All right, I may have some more questions after. Thank you.
Lorianne, may I ask a question?
Go right ahead.
Could you share your screen again so that, and my question is, if this was not an OSRD and it was an ANR thing, can you just use your cursor and show us on the exact same plan where 5 units ANR would go that would satisfy all of those requirements?
I'm sharing my screen. So the last sheet shows the conventional subdivision, and this would answer your question. I think this is what you're asking. If you're not,
Well, I'm not sure. I just want to just use your cursor and show me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And your conversations with DPW and other people who sign off on this, do they acknowledge that that would be the alternative, that it may or may not be preferable? I recognize that Dartmouth says that OSRD is generally preferable, but sometimes it becomes a lesser of two evils situation. I'm just curious, is everybody on board that this would be a valid ANR?
So, I mean, we got some, I'm sure you reviewed Christine's comments in terms of the layout, and Department of Public, we reached a back and forth letter with the Department of Public Works where they had no additional comments. They had a comment on the final comment was on the SWIP, which we're going to be producing once we have a contractor associated with this project. So, in my opinion, by not commenting on their last letter, then they do find this as a valid subdivision. Christine, would you agree, or can you comment on that response?
They agree, yes, that it's technically, it meets the regulations as it stands now, as you're proposing it. They have expressed all along that they do have some concerns, and they had felt more comfortable initially with the going a conventional route as opposed to an OSRD in this particular case, but.
Well, the other question that I have was a bigger picture question, and I understand the financial implications for the developer, but wouldn't this be a lot less of trying to squeeze 5 ounces into a 4.9 ounce tube if it was 3 or 4 lots instead of 5?
Well, the fact of the matter is the conventional allows 5, so we're proposing 5 on this. And we're preserving a large percentage of open space. So we think that we're meeting all the requirements, and, we follow the open space regulations to do so.
I can tell you, Steve, that usually the conventional is shown so you can show the maximum number of lots. Typically the OSRD, that number matches what the conventional is. It's not to have a reduction in number of lots, it's a reduction in or a protection of open space, that type of thing. So
well, and more specifically, Christine, it's a protection of access to the open space by townspeople. The open space, there's not going to be 6 lots there, that's for sure. So if 5 houses get built, regardless of where they get built, the remaining space will stay open, most of it wet, some of it uplands. The only question is whether the public's going to have access, and is the access useful?
Right. Well, that's for you to decide. But as far as to reduce the numbers, usually the developers don't do that in these particular cases, because then they don't make enough money, obviously.
I understand that. Only 2. I get that.
Right. So the 5 and 5, I would work from there is all I'm getting at. So I don't think they're going to give you 4. I could be wrong. You could try, I guess.
John, any comments?
Yeah, I've got a number of questions and comments. So there was a lot about access to the open space, and I only saw one point on the plan, access point to open space, and that's between lots 3 and 4. But yeah, I did hear that they can access it at the end of the driveways. So I'd like to have a note put on the plans that the open space can be accessed at those two ends, the dead ends on the hammerhead there, Steve?
Yeah, I'm making a note, so just, paying attention.
And then also, I don't see why we can't access it when you first drive in. That's all open space to the right. So there should be another point of access right behind lot 1 off of the main road going in.
I see where you're talking about, Sharon.
Yep.
So you're saying right along here you could access?
Yeah, right behind lot 1.
Yep.
Yeah, right there. Now go to the left of the street. I don't see why people couldn't walk into the left and walk over to the right also. So my point is the planning board, there's no question in my mind, is going to want public access here. It doesn't mean there has to be a parking lot and there's going to be a major trail system back here, but it should be open to Jason Drive and people in the neighborhood to access. And I want to make sure that we got some kind of insurances that the road is private, the common driveway is private, that the public has access to the road and the common driveway to access the open space. That language needs to be provided somewhere.
So I can add that to the plan. Yep, I just made a note of it, so thank you.
And then I got a question. Lot 1, you have, I don't know what the dimension is because I don't see a dimension. You got open space on the left, you got open space on the right, you got open space on the rear. Why don't we move lot 1 right over to the street, the new street right-of-way line, and create more open space to the right there? It looks like there's an existing tree line there. Why did you propose to have that U-shaped open space? That, to be honest with you, I don't see it's going to be meaningful. I can see lot 1 mowing along right up to the new road. So if that's the case, why aren't we eliminating that strip and adding it over to the right? Are you following me?
So basically what you're saying is, you'd like to shift this entire lot to the left. So
Right.
That's the right of way. Exactly. Right.
Because that open space there is essentially going to become part of their yard anyway. I can see that's what's going to happen. So why not shift it over and make the open space to the right larger, more convenient for people on Jason Drive to walk in.
Here's the actual definitive here. So you're saying lot 1 to the left. We can do that as long as everyone else is okay with that. I can propose that to the client and get these plans updated to show that, if that's important.
All right, we can get a consensus on that. So I'd like to see a consensus on that, a consensus on the access points for open space, that they're labeled on the plan. We've got some language on the plan that, some legal language that provides that access. And then some kind of signage on the ground. I can see the hammerhead coming, as this private driveway and people parking that own lot 4 and 5, parking in that hammerhead. And you might be intimidated if there wasn't a sign there that you could walk in to that open space parcel. So I propose that the planning board requires signage on these access points.
And can you repeat what that signage might read, how that signage might read? Because it's not the open space signage you're talking about. You're talking about something that allows the public to understand that they're allowed to park there and access the open space.
No, I'm not saying parking. Again, I don't think there's going to be people parking in there. Just people walking in the neighborhood. Even in lot 2 or 3, they're going to be walking down essentially somebody's driveways 4 and 5. You want to be welcomed when you get to the end. Okay, there's my access into the open space. I'm not treading on anybody's property.
Public access starts here.
Yeah, because nobody's got a plan in front of them when they're walking down the driveway.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. I can look and add those into the plan. I understand your point.
So Laura, if you could get a consensus on everybody, if they agree with shifting lot 1 and putting some language and some guarantees for access to the open space.
Margaret?
No, I don't, John, because I don't like the plan. So I'm not going to say move it over because I'm not happy with this plan. So that's mine, no.
John?
Yes.
Stephen?
I'm still a no because I haven't seen something that I think really works, but I'm willing to be persuaded.
Kevin?
I'd like to see that lot shift. If we shift it, I'd like to see it shift to the right, which would be the east. And for 2 reasons. One, it will put a greater distance between the new common drive or laneway or whatever you want to call it in that said driveway, creating a safer distance. And 2, one concern from this plan from day one is that there is no access for any type of waste management trucks to get in there. And I have seen it over and over again. Our other OSRDs all have some type of cul-de-sac turnaround for dump trucks to go in, collect the garbage, and get out. This plan does not have it. And I have seen neighborhoods where Jason Drive will become a dumpster, and it will have garbage, and it will have animals going through the garbage, and it will be throughout the whole neighborhood of a very nice, clean neighborhood now. So I have a concern with that. So if you shift this to the east, we could ask and require some type of facility, dumpster area where they could have private trash pickup at the street and not have orange bags sitting on the edge of neighbors' driveways.
So if I could address that quickly, I mean, we do have a turnaround, which was a request that we had from the board back when I was here in December, which I added here. It's kind of like a hammerhead turnaround. The truck would back out and turn around here and then head out. And in terms of trash pickup, you know, that's something that we could include in the homeowners association agreement.
So you would require, you would have a contract for private trash pickup, and they would have to go down the laneway and turn around in the hammerhead is what you're saying would be a note on the file.
That's correct.
Okay. Then if that is added, I don't mind shifting it to the left then.
So you,
But I still have a concern about the distance between the laneway in that driveway service in lot number 1. If you could tell me how far that is. Is that 50 feet, 100 feet?
so it's quite a, oops. It might help here with this plan I'm showing now is shaded. So you see the driveway is here.
I do, yes.
And then the lane, you know, the right of way is here, private right of way is here. And what, you know, there's quite a distance in between there. I would say, and I can't give you an exact distance, I would say it's about 80 feet because this is a 40-foot right of way.
So if you shift that to, if we shift that to the left 20 feet, it would be reduced to approximately 60 feet between.
Yeah, I think that there's plenty of room there from this access to this driveway, if that's your concern. If we just take out this small, small sliver of land here, like John's proposing.
So what is that? What is that sliver of land? Do you know? Is that a 10-foot? That looks like it's almost the width of the road itself.
That sliver of land has a, so it's 7 feet plus 11 feet right there. So we're at about, well, let's round off, let's say 19 feet there. That's going to shift 20 feet, approximately. You know, it's on a curve, so that's why I'm saying approximately.
I gotcha.
Okay. I think that there's plenty of room in between the road and that driveway.
And they don't necessarily have to put they can put their driveway in on the left
To the
side
side
of the
house.
right, the other side. Yeah, right. Okay, so yeah, my answer will be yes. I'm not totally happy with the plan, but you get a yes for those 2 issues. John, anything else?
Not at the moment, nope.
Kevin, do you have anything?
No, that's all I have.
Steve, do you have anything else?
Well, I'm still not comfortable with the plan at all. I know that we ought to obey all current rules. So I'm not trying to be recalcitrant, but I really think this plan is trying to squeeze too much in, and it doesn't feel comfortable to me. But so I guess I'm still not 100% sure, and I want to hear what everybody else has to say.
Laurie,
Go ahead.
I have another question. I agree with Steve. Between the two plans, I like the regular plan. The regular subdivision, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like the fact that we have no frontage on 2 lots. The planning board maybe has done this before, but I certainly am not comfortable with that. And I'm not comfortable with the amount of wetlands and that these 5 houses, well, these 4 really, are really squeezed in there. I would rather see a regular subdivision on this. There's no sidewalks. What other, may I ask you what other waivers you're asking for besides the sidewalks and landscape architect?
The other waivers would just be the changes to the lots because this is an open space subdivision. So we're, because we're trying to preserve as much possible open space, we are, reducing the minimum lot area. We're changing coverage requirements, front, side, rear yard setbacks. We're changing those from the conventional development because we're doing that because, when I read the regs, it's saying that this is the preferred way to do a subdivision in Dartmouth, and we want to preserve as much open space as possible.
It is the preferred way if the plan is good. If the plan is not good, it is not the preferred way. What about the impervious?
Perspective, please.
Could I just ask one more question?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
What about the impervious, percentage of impervious on all the lots?
Can you be more specific? What about it? I don't understand the question.
Well, what are they? I mean, are they, I can't read this because it's so small. Is it 36%? Is that what you got down here? The maximum impervious lot coverage.
Right, that's what was currently shown on the plans. But I guess it's important for this board to understand that those homes that we're showing there, those are placeholders, right? Because we're gonna have to go in individually for every lot and do an NOI with conservation when we actually put these lots out. And that was a comment that the DPW had about getting some information about these rechargers off the roof, right? But until we know the exact location, shape, size of the house, they're placeholders, basically 1,500 square foot placeholders, and we'll go in individually. And
so, are you selling off the lots, or is the developer building the houses and placing them on the lots? I'm not sure the developer's plan in terms of, are they just going to do the subdivision and then look for to sell it off as a permitted project? I'm not sure of that right now, and I'm not developing. So I'm just the. I understand. Yeah. I understand. Yeah. Okay. I will only say this to my fellow planning board members. I don't like this plan, and I agree with Steve. I think in this particular instance, I would prefer the regular subdivision. I'm done.
If I could I want to ask one last question and then I have a comment. My last question is, what is on this property right now? Is there 1 house, 0 houses, or multiple houses?
This property has no homes on it currently.
Nothing on it at the moment.
Correct.
So my comment for the public is that this whole thing is an exercise in our planning board trying to obey the laws and preferences of the town as they exist today. We have to make a choice between the lesser of 2 evils, but let's not make a mistake that developing this kind of stuff at all is bad for the town financially. And it may be that A&R is better than OSRD or the other way around in this case, but the thing that would be best of all would be if it simply was never subdivided. And that's something obviously we have to change
Steve,
rules and
stop,
laws
Steve,
about, but-
Steve, you have repeatedly and repeatedly said that.
I
We
know.
understand where you're coming from.
Right.
You want no new homes in the town of Dartmouth.
No,
Please stop,
Lori,
stop
it's,
saying
Lorianne, it is not true that I want no new homes. I want no new homes in greenfield, green forest, bulldozed development. I'm all in favor of new homes on surfaces that have already been impermeable or developed poorly over the years. I have a very thoughtful opinion about where we should and shouldn't have them. I want the public to have the opportunity to think about these things from the ground up and change some rules. And at the end of the day, I will cast my vote favorably for whatever the legal requirement is under the current rule. But I really want the public to start thinking about whether this is a good idea. And so my comment is not for my planning board colleagues, because you all know this. My comment is for whoever's listening. This is a very difficult choice between the lesser of two evils. And I'm not comfortable with the plan any more than Margaret, maybe for different reasons. But it's not a great plan, and it's definitely trying to put 4 ounces into a 2-ounce shoe. So that's the end of my point, but I want the public to understand that we do have choices, starting with if we change the rules.
Okay, my turn. John, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I'm just, you know, my two opposing planning board members, I'm trying to understand the rationale to your thought process. So when I look at the two plans, so Steve, this is not, we don't have the choice between an A&R and a subdivision. These are both subdivisions. Both plans meet the current zoning bylaws. They have the option to go with a conventional subdivision, which they've shown us, a conventional subdivision in the last page of our package. And they've shown they could develop this piece of property with 5 house lots, with a road, a lot of paving to put in that road, and we get no open space. Versus getting 5 houses, a shorter road, less pavement, and open space. So I'm trying to understand, why is that a bad thing for the town? We're still getting 5 houses, Steve. There's no way around it. We're going to end up with 5 houses here because they have the right to put up 5 houses. But I look at it, you know, I agree with your philosophy, Steve. I would rather see no houses, but we don't have that option.
I agree with your take on the present situation, and I might in the end vote for the OSRD approach. I don't have strong views. I just think it's critically important for the public to understand that if we change the rules, we won't have to face this situation again. But that's a separate thing. I'm saying it for public
It's a
discussion.
bit misleading, though, your message in changing the rules. You haven't come up with any proposals on how do we change the rules. People have the right to subdivide their property. I'm not so sure how we can take those rights away. And I haven't seen any ideas from you or anybody else on how to do that and still protect people's rights. So let's
trust me, we'll get to those ideas. We need time to talk about them, but that's not this current applicant's problem. I understand.
But I'm trying to understand. So Margaret, why don't you like the plan with the open space and still getting 5 houses with less?
I don't like the plan. I don't like the fact that there's 2 lots with no frontage, and I know that it's been done before. That's been told to me. I like the layout, and I like the fact that on a regular subdivision, when you're coming in, you have a turnaround there. You have the first house is situated. I like the way that one's situated. I like the fact that these homes, they have wetlands in the backland, which is fine. But I think that, I know that area very well, John, as you do. Okay, we've lived in the town a long time. That is a very wet area. And I think that we're doing a disservice to the town and to the people that are going to buy these lots, having an OSRD there. I'm telling you that I want a regular subdivision. That's going to be my vote. I don't think you're going to change my mind.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to understand your rationale. I'm not trying to.
Okay, that's the reason why. When you look at the two subdivisions side by side, well, where would you rather live? Well, look at the 2 subdivisions side by side, and you tell me where you would rather live.
Margaret,
I like open space. And
So do I own a piece of property that's got
I love open
5
space.
acres, so I like big pieces of property. But
Me
there are other
too.
people that rather live on these smaller lots. It's not for me, it's not for you, but you know, certainly the market is there.
But you see, you still have a lot of land that those 4 lots or those 5 lots are not going to use. Because
Which means that it is open space. It's just that
Right.
it's not accessible open space. It's
Right.
still going to be open.
It's going to be
Not
open.
necessarily. They have the right to build on it if the conservation gives them the right to build on it.
Right. There's a lot of wetlands there though, Laurie. And, you know, so that's my rationale, John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I have a question. Why are you going from a road to a common driveway?
So we're going from a road to a common driveway because the common driveway can only, as your regs read now, the common drive only allows you to reach 2 homes. So because we have 4 homes in the subdivision, we're going from a right of way to a common drive. And
Why don't you just keep it all a drive? Why don't you just keep it all a road?
we basically want to utilize what's allowed in the regs. That's why we're doing it this way.
What is the common driveway going to be consistent of?
The common drive will be of the same material as the right of way portion of it. I mean, it's going to transition once you get past the pocket wetland detention basin, but it's 20 feet wide the entire way.
So there's no really difference between the roadway and the common driveway? It's still going to look the same?
Right, it's going to be paved, and we have the detail on the detail sheet of what we're doing for pavement.
Is the difference simply that different parties are going to have to pay for its maintenance in the first 3 versus the last 2?
Right, and that's going to be, well, it's all going to be in the homeowners association. You know, that'll need to be maintained.
The whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing.
I just don't understand why you're changing it. I didn't get a good look at the plans because I have them just on the tablet. But you do have your bounds showing with the wetlands. If we go with the OSRD, you have you have notifications up that they only develop up to a certain point because it's the open space. You have your bounds and your signs.
Yeah, we have that detailed on the detail sheet as well. And if you look at the
Yeah, just pull it up.
oh, sure. You kind of broke up there, so I hope I'm answering the right question. Please tell me if I'm not. If you look at the definitive plans here,
Okay, right.
you can see that we have the
Right, okay. There's a lot of open space behind some of these. Just in my tablet. In the past, what we've done is we've asked for signs to be put there, or in certain instances where there were stone walls, for the stone walls to be maintained. There are none here, or for a picket fence or something to be put there. John, what do you think?
Yeah, well, the requirements require monuments, I believe.
Right.
we're showing those on the plans.
We're showing the-
Right.
Here's the detail right here, and
I
then
can see, yeah, okay, right.
Laurie, where, you know, you look at lots 2 and 3,
He's
you
got
can't approach on the open space because of wetlands.
right.
You know, if that were uplands, I'd be saying,
Well,
yeah,
it depends on how wet it is.
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You know,
I don't
wetlands are not necessarily wet. Wetlands are according to the species of plants that are growing there.
Yep. If you want to propose split rail fence like we've done in the past, I don't have any problems with that
On some of these lots.
well, you know, all of them I see encroaching between lot 4 and 5. I can see
Right.
that looking like
Right.
one big yard with a fence in the middle, and no one
Oh,
has
yeah.
any, that there's open space that's probably 40 or 50 feet wide there. So maybe split rail fence would be appropriate.
so you can see we'd have these, every time there's a black dot like this, we get a marker
Right.
as shown. And that was the plan, to have those markers stating, you know, hey, this is open space.
Look, well, what are the their markers, but they have to have something written on them that says, no building beyond this point.
Not
Oh,
to be
no,
considered per
no.
ordinance of the Town of Dartmouth. That's what we have now.
We have what?
Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, so what does your sign say? I'm trying to read it. Boundary
of-
protection, not to be disturbed per order. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
That's a wildlife habitat, or is this the
it's open
conservation?
space. I don't know why. Where did that language come from? I've never
Yeah.
seen-
Why are you saying that? Is it protected wildlife habitat?
It's open space. We could just alter that to say boundary of open space, which is not to be disturbed per the order of Dartmouth, if you'd prefer that language. That could be
Yes.
edited.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
And I like to have public access on that.
Okay.
So open space with public access on that sign.
Public access plus open space.
Yep.
Now, John, would that satisfy the comment you had previously in regards to allowing the public to understand that that's where they're allowed?
Right. If we use some, at the end of those two hammerheads, there's an indication there, markers there between lots 4 and 5. The original access you had to the left of lot 4, behind lot 1, even between to the left of lot 2 is another. That's all open space, and the public should be aware. Again, nobody's walking around with a plan in their hand when they're walking the neighborhood out for a stroll.
Right. We're gonna have these signs every 50 feet. That was the plan. So I will edit.
That's signs around the perimeter of the lot, and that's we encourage that to prevent encroachment.
Sure.
Into the open space. What people do in their backyard behind fences and behind the building is tough to see. This is more of the signs I'm talking about, is added signs. The requirement is every 50 feet around the perimeter of the property. These are signs off the common driveway and the road. And you can use the same ones.
Okay.
My-
Right, I like the idea of using the same one.
Yep.
Yeah, just change that sign that wild habitat doesn't fit. Okay, any other questions?
I'd like to just give you a couple of comments if I could.
Please.
So I do have to say, I think that the conventional is more appropriate in this particular case, which is the same thing that DPW thought. I know that Steve has put a lot of effort into this and finding some, he's made it work with all of the comments that he's been given. But if you actually go back and you look at your regulations, one of the biggest things is to reduce the amount of pavement. And I know that John thinks between, this design and the conventional that maybe there is a reduction in pavement. But if you actually calculate it, it probably really isn't as much as you're thinking. So that's one thing to consider. I do have reservations, as DPW has said to me every single time, the zero frontage, the switch from, an access road to the common driveway. And I get that Steve is doing it all he's trying to maximize the regulations, but I do agree that, the town prefers the OSRD, and I normally am very favorable towards that. But in this particular case, it just, I don't know that all of these, just think about all of the things that you're having to put in to help to protect this open space and to help to allow the public access and to help, make everybody aware of all of these things. I just don't think this is, I think we're trying to fit it in. Like everybody has said, you're kind of just trying to squeeze it in. So just remember all of the things that you're asking for. You're talking about trash, you're talking about moving one of the lots, you're talking about more signage, you're talking, there are numerous things, so DPW has done their review, they have signed off on it. They've given us everything, that all of the comments, and Steve, like I said, has responded to all of them. And I've given my responses, my comments on multiple occasions, and he's responded to all of those as well. And I agree with, now that we see all the waivers in front of us, the landscape architect thing, well, you know, if he's telling me that a wetland scientist is doing the wetlands replications, then if you get some assurance that that's actually the case and not, you know, that they actually have something, then that's fine with not having in this particular case. I think it's fine with not having in LA, but you know, you want somebody to qualify to make those wetlands replication areas. And then being that they're so close to the driveway and some of those other things, I just think there's still a lot of concerns here. You know, I think it's okay in some cases to go back to a conventional. I do. So I had to put that out there.
No, I guess my response, is it okay if I respond to that?
Please.
You know, I've worked very closely, as Christine mentioned, you know, I've worked very closely with planning and Department of Public Works on this. And I've, you know, utilized your regulations, which is what I have to use, right? The codified regulations in the town of Dartmouth is what I'm using to create this. And it's saying that an open space subdivision is the preferred method. You know, we are preserving a nice chunk of land here. And I know that there's some potential to develop it, but it's nothing like subdividing it again and adding houses and adding driveways. It would be, we're not even proposing that at this point. So I guess my final point is, you know, I think that preserving all this open space is worth doing the subdivision this way because it allows such a chunk of land to remain as preserved, if that makes sense.
So the only other thing I would say to you then in response to that is the fact that, I mean, this land, these wetlands are going to still be protected somewhat anyway. People can't do things to the wetlands. They can't be within the buffer. So you know, they're still not going to be able to touch most of that land. It's just the configuration of this going forward.
But there's upland too that we're preserving, right? And I can give you, you know, yeah. So just consider that. It's not just wetland. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I would just like to make one comment about a landscape architect. My son's a landscape architect. They don't just pick trees out. You know that, Steve, okay? They do a lot of other things when they're doing subdivisions. So I'm a little dismayed that, and he doesn't work around here, so he's in Colorado. But I'm a little dismayed because even when I was on the ZBA, we use landscape architects all the time for lots of different things. So I'm not particularly happy with that waiver.
In no way was I trying to insult what landscape architects do. I understand that they are.
No, you do.
And they are. It's challenging work. But you know, there was a list of like, you know, like in your regs, there was like a list of trees that the town would like to see, and that's what we utilized. You know, the wetland biologists.
No, I know that, but they do more than just pick out trees, as you well know.
Oh,
so
I know, and I am
that's
not.
why I like to see subdivisions like this, especially the larger ones that do use LAs. That's it. Thank you.
So I had a question, and it came up at the last meeting. This open space, this is going to back up to some of the open space from the old golf course that is there and some properties that are on Tucker Road, I believe. Is that correct?
Look at this. Here. So I'm going to share my screen again. Thank you for bearing with me. All right, so zoom out. So the open space parcel is parcel D, right? And it abuts map 125 lot 14, 125 15, 130 32, and a few of the other lots over here. There's a bunch of lots. I'm not going to list them. I can if you would like me to.
It basically abuts all privately owned property.
There you go. That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So we're right here on the red dot.
No. Let me switch screens. just bear with me for another one more second. Sorry. I think this is the best one to look at. Yeah.
Actually,
So
the red
it
dot,
does. It does. Okay. So you can see where Lane Farm Estates comes in. They have their buffer zone around. You can see up at the north, this piece of land that would connect it. You can read the writing on the wall that this piece of property to the right on Tucker Road, you know, it's only a matter of time until this all comes together. And part of the open space development is not the immediate what's best right now at this time in moment. I could possibly see something coming before us on Tucker Road where we could say, okay, let's put a little parking lot here, and now we can connect these things in the future. That would be my thought.
Kevin, to that point, Lane Farms Estates, that was prior to an OSRD. So I don't know what kind of language is in there, but I agree with you that we need to make sure that the open space language in this subdivision, as we approve it, is adequately going to address any future trail network to abutting properties. And it doesn't need to be a DNRT parking lot with, it needs to be, you know, I've got a child that lives in Lane Farms that wants to go visit a friend over in Jason Drive and doesn't have to walk on Tucker Road to do that. That's why I think it's so essential that these open space have public access to allow that. Keep people off the roads, give them an opportunity to experience some nature, but make the experience of walking to abutters safer. So that language exists. I don't know, Christine, you could look at some of the prior ones we've approved, that
So just
we have assurance for, you know, that the open space can connect to any abutting property at any point at any time, you know.
So when you're ready to do the paperwork for this, just keep in mind that this was filed before the new OSRD regulations were in place, just so you put any special requirements on it. Just keep that in the back of your mind, that this is being reviewed under the old system.
Well, we've always had that option on the OSRD.
Yeah, we just want to protect, but as I'm saying, just make sure that you give.
I know the open space covenant or what we're doing, but we've always had that requirement. We've always asked for that requirement. So there's some language out there that does exist.
Can you, Christine, do you have readily available the list of waivers they were asking for?
So Steve did provide me with the list of waivers. You all got that in an email this afternoon. So the first was for the landscape architecture, landscape architect stamp. The second one was for the sidewalks. And then for the zoning standards, so that what they were requesting for dimensional variances or dimensional relief, I should say. So all I was getting at with the open space protection is to make sure that we have it permanently protected, so we don't run into a problem like we had found in the fall or, you know, in the spring of last year.
Any other questions from the board members? Is the board ready to close the public hearing?
I didn't hear you ask for comments from the public. Have we entertained any?
Yeah, I keep on forgetting that. Is there anyone in the public who has any comments? Christine, do you see anyone? Because you can see if there's someone who wants to.
We have Dartmouth Weekly on, and we have somebody for Lich and Lane, and then we have somebody at 60 days. So we're the 60A, so we're good.
Okay.
Remember that you're going to be doing both the definitive subdivision and the special permit.
Right. We need, if we do motions, we need 2 motions.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing was made by John Souza and seconded by Kevin Mello. All in favor? Margaret?
Yes.
John Souza?
Yes.
Steve Taylor?
Yes.
Kevin Mello?
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller? Yes, the motion carries unanimously. Public hearing is now closed on Windsong Estates. Where does the board wish to go from here?
I'll see where, I'll make a motion. We approve the definitive subdivision.
With the amendments that we made, the amendment to the sign and the waivers that were asked for only, and that we get some type of permanent restriction on the open space.
And the
Yeah.
the shifting of lot one way or the other.
Oh, and move, yeah, lot one, okay.
So what did you decide, left or right?
Left, up against the street, right,
Yep.
John? Yeah,
I
up
think
against
the
the street.
consensus was left, if I'm not mistaken. Kevin, am I
Right,
correct?
yes,
Yes,
Right.
yeah, that's fine. And something in there about private trash collection, no public trash on Jason Drive.
okay, so that's, Christine, you have all that, please? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion, excuse me, the motion was made by John Souza, seconded by Kevin Mello. All in favor? Margaret Sweet,
No, I'm sorry. I can't vote for this plan.
John Souza,
Yes.
Steve Taylor,
I'd like to abstain.
Kevin Mello,
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, yes. Where does that leave us?
Motion fails.
Motion fails because we have an abstention.
They need a super majority.
Need 4 votes.
May I comment here? Is that okay?
Well,
No.
and I also think that what we have to do when we, because this is do we have to give specific reasons why it fails? I don't even. John?
Well, I did.
I'm thinking that when we.
I don't know
when
how to
we
answer that one because
reject something, we have to give, I'm at a loss because we haven't rejected something in a while, and I'm trying to remember that every time we reject something, we have to give reasons why it's been rejected. But yet, there were
Well, it
3
would be
people
the
in
vote
favor
that-
of it.
Well, we didn't.
Right.
We haven't voted on the special permit yet. So assuming the special permit's going to go the same way, the no vote prefers the conventional subdivision plan is the reason.
It would have to have,
So
Thank you,
Okay.
John. That is my reason.
okay, so we have to move on to the next vote. I need a motion.
Not if Steve is abstaining though, right? I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean he likes either one.
Correct.
No.
yeah, but we
he's-
need a 4/5 vote.
Right, right. No, but I'm just saying it doesn't mean that we're gonna go conventional. It just,
Right.
you're right, right?
Well, we don't have a motion to go
Right.
conventional.
Okay.
Right.
So, although we haven't given him, well, we got to vote on the.
May I ask a question? May I?
I'm going to allow it. Go ahead.
So in terms of someone who's abstaining on the vote, what are the options there? Because, right, I needed the majority, right? I needed 4 out of 5. Is that correct?
Right.
And
Yes.
since he abstained, he's not a no vote. Do I have any?
You still have to have 4 out of 5. That's why we always let the developer know if only 4 people are going to be there,
Right,
because
right.
you need the 4 out of 5. You need the supermajority, I'm afraid.
In terms of working with comments that maybe someone who abstained from voting had to moving forward, is that possible, or is the vote cast and that's that?
That's that. The vote's been cast.
Proceed.
So we need another vote. Do we even need to take another? Yeah, we do. John, you want to make a vote to approve the special,
Why would
I'll make
you
a
need
motion to
vote?
approve.
Why would you
What?
need to vote on the special permit since the subdivision's been not, you know, you didn't have all the votes? I'm just trying to learn something, John.
yeah, I
don't
am,
know.
I don't know either.
I don't
Yeah.
think you, why would you need Christine, why would you need a vote on the special permit if you're not gonna have, OSRD? I can't hear you. Christine, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yes, no, I don't think you need a vote in this case either.
Okay,
It
okay.
fails. That's
that's it, okay. I mean, this is something new for all of us because this hasn't happened before necessarily, so. Okay, so we voted against, the vote is 3 in favor, 1 against, and 1 abstention, so the motion fails, and that's it, I'm
So-
afraid.
I think they would have to come back with the conventional plan and start the process all over again.
Right,
And that would be an ARN, correct?
No,
it'd be a regular
No,
subdivision.
subdivision.
regular subdivision.
definitive subdivision.
It's not approval not required. It's a subdivision plan.
Right.
So, okay.
Okay, number 3 on the list is request the surety reduction for Lycan Lane, 892 Division Road. Christine?
I'm sorry, I do see the applicant on in this particular case. I don't know if they want to speak for some reason or not, but
I make
DPW,
a motion, we approve staff's recommendation on the reduction for the DPW. Also,
the
I'll
request
second that.
is $8,209.03, leaving a remaining balance of $24,493.65.
Are you comfortable and is DPW comfortable with this, Christine?
They are. Just remember that you did release the lots from the performance covenant at the May 11th
Right.
meeting as well.
Okay. John, you made a motion to approve, and do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, John Souza made the motion, Margaret Sweet seconded it. All in favor, Margaret,
Yes.
John,
yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Steve,
I said yes.
Kevin?
Am I muted?
Yes,
Kevin?
Okay.
yes.
Did we lose Kevin?
No, I'm here.
Kevin? Oh, okay, Kevin, yes. Lori Ann Miller, yes. Motion carries unanimously.
So I will be
Number,
tomorrow.
what?
I was just telling the applicants that I will be in contact sometime tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank you. You're welcome.
you're welcome. Number 4 on the subdivision is 61 notification, Mary Lakes Farm, Rockland Street, Laura Owen. Do we have anyone on for this?
I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. I'm Laurel's brother. I'm representing her because her health is poor, so she can't make it at the moment.
Christine?
So I gave you all a revised plan today because I misread it initially. It is for lots 3 and 4 of an A&R that you had recently approved back in March. So I didn't really have the real numbers to refer to. That being said, so my email this afternoon showed you the plan. It showed you all of the revised number updates. The majority of the parcels in question for lots 3 and 4, like I said, are they have an access off of Rockland Street. As part of that A&R, there was an easement, a utility and access easement from Rockland. The other parcels were off of Elm Street. The majority of the farm appears to be on the Elm Street property. These 2 lots, the majority of these 2 lots are wetlands. There's also a paper street that abuts lot 3, and that's Peter Street. The only thing I was going to tell the applicant here in this particular case is that the purchase and sales agreements refer to book 181, page 6, And the engineer had said to me, it's actually 181, page 16. He went back and verified it, Steve Gioso. So we just want to make sure that that language is all correct in the.
Oh, okay. I can fix that.
Want to just point that out to you.
Thank you.
Given the, initially my initial recommendation for this, again, was because it was under the under the 5 acres. I was recommending that you not recommend purchase of it to the select board. In this particular case now, as I've gone back through it, the combined things would be above 5 acres, but each lot by themselves are not at that 5 acre thing. And then if you actually look at where the amount of wetland on the areas and the amount of upland areas, I still think that that your recommendation to the select board is that they not exercise their first refusal option in this particular case and purchase the properties. But you should be aware that if the rest of the farm comes up at some point, you might show some interest in that regard. But from this, I don't think there's enough value in it.
Well, the whole point of this is to save the rest of the farm. So
right. So, but I mean, I have to just put that out there too.
Yeah, I understand.
May I ask for a further explanation about how does this save the rest of the farm, and what's the plan for that?
So my sister basically exhausted herself physically and financially taking care of our father at the end of his life. He passed away last year, and her health has declined precipitously, and she's on disability. She's unable to work. So in order to be able to afford to maintain the rest of the farm, which we rent out to other farmers or in the CSA, to provide local produce to people, and also to pay for her care, which she needs. We've been forced to actually make the hard choice of actually selling that lower parcel for those 2 lots in order to try to, desperately save the rest of the farm.
And just otherwise, for my education, can you tell me how much you're selling off in acres and how much you were trying to save in acres?
So we're selling off a total of 7.33 acres. Those are those 2 lots. Most of it is actually not buildable, so it's going to be maintained as wetland and forest. And then the remaining parcel of land for the farm is 10 acres. That's upland, and that's the more active part of the farm that we are currently renting out to I believe Flying Carrot Farms is the name of the business. And we've been renting to them for several years now, and we hope to, in perpetuity. But we want to be able to keep it agricultural land and retain its value and open space. This is not an easy decision.
I know it's not an easy decision, and I feel for you, and I want to first of all express my sympathy for the difficulties, but I also would like to understand the part that you're proposing to sell off now is subdividable into 2 lots or 1
Correct.
lot?
2 lots.
2 lots.
So
and
there are 2 lots.
The part that you're proposing to save would be in the future theoretically or not subdividable into how many lots?
You mean the upper 10 acres?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a plan for it. We haven't really seriously looked at it, but basically the plan that I saw a few years ago, which involved a road being built off of Elm Street that led into a cul-de-sac into the 10 acres. There was, I believe 10 house lots back there, just from memory. That is, that's not something.
Would your family be willing to enter into a definitive conservation restriction on the 10 in order for immediate approval on the 2?
Steve, you cannot do that.
So I think it's important to understand they're requesting that they come out of chapter 61, period. They're entitled to do that. The land has been in chapter 61, it looks like, since 1974. So it's coming out anyway.
And that changes the tax basis, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand.
Steve, you cannot, wait a minute, Christine, 1 second. Steve, you cannot hold a land order a landowner hostage by
I'm not holding
guaranteeing
anybody
them one
hostage. I'm
thing
simply
if they
asking
do
a question.
something else.
Lorianne, please, that's insulting. I know the rules. I'm asking a landowner who wants to preserve his farm if they would do that as a good faith initiative. That's not hostage of any kind.
We can't ask that.
Well, excuse me, I did.
So the other part of this is the lots for the subdivision have already clearly been defined. That happened in March when the plan came before us in March.
Correct. If I might actually add, sorry, may I speak?
And then, so this would be just all you're doing here is you're giving a recommendation to the select board on this property.
I understand that. I'm asking the landowner a good faith, big picture question that'll have a lot more impact on the town of Dartmouth 20 years from now than this night's 20 minutes. So I'd love to let him speak if we could.
Okay, so I could tell you my personal desires. And again, I'm speaking for my sister. I'm on behalf of my sister, who's actually the owner. This farm has been in the family for 130 years. And whereas I cannot definitively tell you that she would be willing to, sign a legally binding agreement that it would be conserved. I can tell you that there is no desire to see houses put on that property, and that the back acreage that we're actually discussing right now has been painful enough to actually come to that. But the level of desperation due to circumstances has forced our hand. And if we can't actually sell that, I can be honest with you, sir, we're going to lose all of it.
I understand and I hear you, and that will make an impression on my vote. I may vote that we recommend to the town that we buy the first acres in the hopes that we can eventually get the others. But thank you for your comments.
Any other comments from the board?
Make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Second that motion.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I second that motion.
Recommend. Kevin, go ahead.
I second that motion.
Thank you. The motion was made by John Souza and seconded by Kevin Mello. Roll call vote. Margaret?
Yes.
John Souza?
Yes.
Steve Taylor?
I'm going to say no for now. I would like to recommend to the selectmen that they seriously explore buying this land because of the long-range implications of what might happen later. I don't want to hurt the farmer or the homeowner in any way. I'd like to see how we can do this in a way that would make Dartmouth better by preserving the land forever.
Kevin Mello?
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller? Yes. The motion carries unanimously, 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
Not unanimously, but 4-1.
I mean 4-1, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, the next thing on the motion, on the meeting are the minutes.
Wait a minute. I will get the applicant, I'll get you a copy of the letter that goes to the select board saying what's happened. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Bye.
Good luck.
Right.
At
Thank you
that
all.
farm, famous farm with the Morgan horses and everything.
Yes.
Well loved in the town of Dartmouth. I hope everything works out.
Thank
I
you.
do too. I do too, totally.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing is a public hearing meeting of September 10th, 2018. Just John and I can vote on this. John, motion.
So moved as written.
Second as written. John?
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, yes. The next one is a public meeting of October 22nd, 2018.
So
John
moved
again.
as written.
The next minutes for the public hearing of October 22nd, 2018. John,
So moved as written.
seconded. John,
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, yes. The next minutes of the meeting, next minutes are from the public meeting of May 11th, 2020.
I just want to make sure Kevin couldn't vote on any of those.
Kevin, you can't vote on those, or Kenny?
Kenny, that's what I'm asking.
I just heard only John and Lori, so
Oh, no. You know, let's redo this. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin. You were here for those.
for the 22nd. I thought so, but you know.
I'm putting you as a brand new member. Okay.
There you go.
Oh, geez.
Kevin, you can't hear you. You're on mute, Kevin.
Okay,
Well,
so
Paul,
let's.
I said yes. You didn't hear me.
Okay, Kevin, do you approve all three?
Yes.
September 10th, yes. October 22nd,
Yes.
and October 22nd.
Yes.
I apologize. That is my mistake.
It's okay.
I think the last time we did these, you weren't in or something.
You just need a good cup of coffee from the south of the town.
Oh, yes, I do. But I don't
He's
drink
been around
coffee.
for 5 years, Laurie. He's going to be around for another 5
I
years,
know.
unless my writing campaign works.
Oh, my word. Okay, so the public meeting of May 11th, 2020.
What I would tell you with all of these, I do have some minor little editorial things that I would like to give Jane in both cases. They don't change the overall content. I just want to switch from design to development. I want to add a little bit more about Kathleen, the alternate, in there in one case. So I have just a couple of minor things that I would like to be able to give her, but the overall things are fine. I don't know if you can approve them that way. I think on the last page of the just the regular meeting minutes, like they should all say 2018. They should not say 2019.
Oh, okay, the date.
I said they're just a couple of minor things like that. You know, they're referring to minutes from the enclave. So I just want to verify that those things are correct.
Okay, do we need a motion then to approve Christine to amend the meetings to correct Scribner's errors?
Right.
I make that
For
motion.
the 18, no, these are for the 18
Oh,
meetings.
No, these are for the 2020 meeting. I'm sorry.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
These
Okay,
are the
so
new ones.
Yeah.
okay, so we can make that part of the motion.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, I don't see any urgency to approve these minutes tonight. I don't know
You
why
want
the
to
change
get them
can't be
corrected?
made. If she's not prepared to give us those changes, let her get prepared and we can approve them at a later date.
Oh, I can give you the changes now. I just didn't know if you want me to go through that. If you want.
Well,
I
think it would be appropriate to know what the
Yes.
changes are.
Okay, so then, all right.
I mean,
well,
if you have to do it personally, I mean, you could do it and we just give it to us the next time we meet.
I can give them to you right now if you want. What would
Yeah.
you prefer?
Give them to us
I'm-
now.
Okay.
Fine with that.
So, all right. So on the regular meeting minutes for May 11th, 2020, on the first page, I think it should say, it says Chairman Miller recused herself, Kevin Mello became acting chair. I think you should also put alternate Kathleen DeSoto was present. I think at the bottom paragraph of that, it should say residential development instead of residential design, because that's what we call it now. On page 3 of 7, I think the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th paragraph down, it starts with a board member asked the planning director. The second sentence there, I would probably put, instead of he, I would put the board member just to clarify. On page 5 of 7, I think it should be I just want to verify that the meeting minutes should be 2018 and not 19 at the top. And the same thing all the way down to, so I just want to verify that in this particular case, because I think those should all be 2018 instead of 2019. So that's it for that one. And then for the public hearing.
I'll make a motion. We approve the regular meeting minutes of May 11th as amended.
I'll
Do I have
second that.
So John moved the motion and Kevin seconded it. Roll call. Margaret?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, yes. Motion carries unanimously. So now the regular meeting,
The public hearing meeting minutes for Penelope Lane.
go ahead.
So on page 1, again, I would change it from design to development in that first full paragraph. Also present, it's supposed to be SAGE and environmental, not SAVE. So I'd like to change that. On page 2 of 3, on the 1, 2, 3, the 4th paragraph down starts with she stated. Mike O'Reilly's title is Town's Environmental Affairs Officer, not Director. So I'd like to correct that. Oh, and then on the 3rd page, I think we need to add that Lori was recusing from that vote at the bottom of the page. That's it for that one.
Motion to approve the public hearing meetings, meeting minutes of May 11th for Penelope Lane as amended.
Second that.
John Souza made the motion and Kevin Mello seconded. Roll call. Margaret?
Yes.
John Souza?
Yes.
Steve Taylor?
Yes.
Kevin Mello?
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, I recuse myself because I was not part of that meeting. So the motion is 4 in favor and 1 recuse. Okay, so now we go to May 18th. Regular meeting of May 18th.
No,
Christine, do you have any changes?
we don't have May 18th, so you shouldn't have May 18th because it's not on your agenda.
Yes, it is at the bottom.
Yep, regular minutes of.
I have it.
It's on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, then she must have added it to the agenda. That's
Yeah.
not, so that's not the agenda that I had given the other day. So if you all have it, that's fine. But I have not reviewed those minutes.
Okay.
You're breaking up.
I did not have that on the agenda that I had put forward. So if they were added afterwards on Friday when I was out, or if they were added on Wednesday, I'm not really sure. I don't have them here and I have not reviewed them, but if you're all comfortable and you've reviewed them, then that's fine.
I make a motion, we table the minutes of May 18th to our next meeting.
I second that, Kevin.
Motion's been made by Kevin Mello, seconded by Margaret Sweet. Roll call. Margaret?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, yes. Those will go on to the next meetings, the next meeting. Okay, the next thing is correspondence. I need a motion to acknowledge and file.
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, the motion was made by Margaret Sweet and seconded by Steve Taylor. A roll call vote. Margaret?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, yes. Motion carries unanimously. The next thing is the chairman's report. I have, well, we have the priority list, but let me go over the HR. You should have all received a packet in the mail. Did everyone receive a packet in the mail?
Yes.
We, according to union bylaws, we have to do a performance review on Christine. The performance review has, okay, at least 24 hours prior to the evaluation interview, completed forms should be shared with the employee. So you all need to fill in a evaluation, and we need to get it to Christine 24 hours before the meeting, which will be on the 29th. Christine, is that the date we set up?
Yeah, that's our next meeting.
So our next meeting.
Yes.
You've received the packet, you've received the various, here we go, I got it in front of me now. Knowledge, productivity, decision-making, oral communications, written communications, budget, financial administrations. It goes through the list of things that we need to evaluate, and it gives you 1 through 4 on how to evaluate them. So I need all of you to do that. Get it to Christine in a timely fashion, so that Christine, we all need to get a copy of it too,
Right.
so
Okay.
that we have it. So can
maybe
we,
get it to me
May I
by
ask you a question, Lori?
Friday the
yes,
I got this huge bundle of paperwork in the US mail, but can we go online and fill out this form electronically?
no.
We have to do it by pen and ink and then do something about
I mean, you
Oh,
can-
no, you can do it electronically, yes.
Right.
I'm sorry.
That's
Yes.
what I thought. I just want to know how.
Yeah, you can do it by pen and ink, or you can do it electronically.
I mean, you
I'm
should
going to strongly suggest that we set a date for that to get to Christine, so that she can then make copies of it all and get it mailed back to us, so that we all have it in hand, so that we can write on it.
I'll agree to any date you guys want. June 25, June 26, when's good?
Excuse me, one question, Steve.
Yes.
When are we, is that online at private access, those forms?
So I don't have them online now. I was told to mail them to you, but I'll have,
Oh, okay.
I'll put them online so you can get them that way.
Is that public?
This was a training session. No, I'll put it on your
No,
regular,
private access,
and then you
Okay,
have to do it with Adobe or something like that.
right.
So what I would say to you is the next meeting is the 29th. By the time I do packages and stuff, if you could have it to me by the 24th, that would be good. I will be in the office alone most of that week, so to give me a couple of days to get it all together.
That sounds fine. June 20, whenever you say, I'm happy to do
June
it.
24th is a Wednesday. I also have to fill one out, and Sean will be filling out something separately. Lori has said to put it on as executive session on the 29th meeting. I'm not sure. We haven't had an executive session since I've been here, actually. So exactly if you want to do it at the beginning or the end, or what the typical protocol is for executive session.
Usually the beginning, oh, Laurie?
we've done them both ways depending on what it was, because if we do it at the beginning, then we have to go back into public session. If we do it at the end, then we just don't go back into public session, we're done. So we've done both depending on what the issue was or time frame type of thing. It's,
May I ask
up to
one
the
other
board how
question?
you want to handle this.
Is
Yes.
among the town employees, is Sean the only one who fills this out for Christine, or do the town council or anybody else participate too?
No, just Sean.
So do we get to see what Sean has to say before we write what we have to say?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Well, that would be of interest to me, but I just raised that question because I know all about this process. I've done it for decades in my former business, but what I don't know is how the town of Dartmouth handles it, and I'd like to know.
So I can tell you that this is something new, and this came about at, maybe they've done evaluations in the past, but this system is new, and this was implemented as part of the signing of the contract. The Steelworkers Union, which is what I'm part of technically.
Yep.
So everybody's supposed to have them done. So I don't know. I can ask the question. I'll email you all tomorrow or the next day when I get an answer. I don't know.
It would be my suggestion, given that we are the planning board and we're part of the elected officials in town, and in general, like you, Sean, and everybody else who's a town employee works for the elected officials, it would be my preference if we could see Sean's comments before our deadline by maybe 24 hours, but that's just a preference. I will make sure that mine is done on time. I don't want to hold you up or mess you up for the meeting. So I'll be done on time, but I think it would be good if we could hear what Sean has to say before we have to make our final opinion.
If he's allowed to give them to us, then we will get them. If he's not allowed to, then we won't get them. that
Okay,
I'll let you
We'll
know.
ask.
that's fine.
we'll
May I
ask and see. if we
ask a
can.
question? Of
Yes.
Steve, we're making an evaluation how we determine how Christine does the job. I'm just curious why you're interested in seeing what Sean thinks.
He's the, I may be wrong, and I'm not an expert because I haven't been involved in the town of Dartmouth very long, but I believe he would be Christine's direct supervisor, other than that we have board oversight, right?
No, we are her supervisor, but he does it because he works with all the department heads.
Okay, well, I just think it's useful information for us to have, but I don't have a strong view, and believe me, I've done these forms on behalf of 11 different unions, and so I understand the process very thoroughly, and I want to do it fairly and well, but I'd like to have all the information I can.
Right, I agree. Like I said, if he's able to share them with us, he will.
Okay, that's
he's
fine.
not-
That's absolutely fine.
We'll
that's
ask.
fine.
The question I have that seems
Yes.
unusual, and I don't know if Steve can back me up, but after 25 years in the public and private sector, I've never received a review from 5 individuals separately.
Well,
This
no,
seems a bit unusual that 5 separate people are chiming in.
I don't know if you're all consolidated or not. I can ask that question at the end.
That would make a lot more
No,
sense and be
What we've done in the
productive.
past, what we've done in the past, Kevin, is we've reviewed our town planners in the past, basically in the same, almost same manner, the various sections. And we've all written down what we felt, and then at the end, we consolidated them to one page. You know, we all felt that X was a 4 and Z was a 3. It was all consolidated into just one form.
And who
Right.
does
So
the
should we
consolidation?
not be returning all these forms to one person on the board and have them consolidated, or sit together as a group? And
No, we sit together as a group and go over them.
correct.
Right. That's
So
going to
we
happen
should
at the
do
next
that.
meeting.
Well, I'll ask the questions tomorrow and then you'll get more direction on which way to go. I get what you're asking me now, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you
Whether or
should be
not-
getting critique from 5 different people that may be
Whether or not,
one extreme to another.
right, if they all go to Lori and then she consolidates everything and brings it forward on behalf, you know, if I'm
Or
not sure.
we sit as a group in executive session as
Right.
5, and come up with the final form.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's
Ke- Kev-
But if
Kevin,
we're sending them all to Christine before the next meeting, she's going to get all, we should be doing this in confidence, the 5 of us. As the board.
Unfortunately, if you read the papers that came to you, that is part of the procedure. Unfortunately, we don't have much choice on that, Kevin. Part of the procedure is at least 24 hours prior to the evaluation interview, completed forms should be shared with the employee. And
I agree, and I read that, but the completed form should not be a completed form from Lori Miller, from Margaret Sweet, from Steve Taylor, from John Souza, from Kevin Mello. The completed form should come from one person, the chair, or somebody.
Well, then we would have
And-
but that completed form cannot be completed until we all speak.
That's
Right.
correct.
How do we
So
do that 24 hours before the evaluation?
I think Kevin is asking whether or not you should all
Right.
get together and consolidate in some regards.
we might have to have a special meeting a day or 2 ahead.
I agree. And that meeting would be executive session to go over the review. That this is how, I mean, the Prudential Committee, this is how we did it at
Right.
Dartmouth District 1. We didn't send individual comments to the person being reviewed. We're going to send the completed form, but that should be one form from the group, not one form from
So what
each
you're
individual.
saying is that the planning board has to meet without Christine and go over this and then do one form and give it to her 24 hours before the next meeting.
I
I think
believe
so,
that
yeah.
would be
I
the
think that's
proper,
right.
most productive way to handle this. Yes,
And it could be one meeting, one topic.
correct. I absolutely agree.
John,
You can't do that.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, you absolutely can under
No,
executive
no,
session.
hear me out, hear me out. If you're discussing the,
Employee, she has the
An
right to be
employee-
there.
The
Oh, she has to
employee
be present.
has the right to be there if they so choose. So you can do that. And I agree with you, Kevin, that, you know, it shouldn't be 5 individuals. It should be after discussion with 5 individuals, you complete a form. But during that discussion, the employee, if they so choose, has the right. You have to give them the option. We have discussed your performance. If you want to be there, you can be there. They don't have to, but you have to give them that option. At the end of the meeting, you've got a completed form, and then you present it to the appropriate authorities. I don't know what the
so after the
where
meeting.
this it goes to HR, whatever. But if you have any discussion regarding an employee has the right to be there if they so choose. Well, I
I'd
agree
like to
with
get clarification.
It shouldn't be 5 separate individuals making the performance. It should be the board.
And I believe that interpretation is correct. Once the form is complete, we should have the meeting with the employee there once the form is complete. I believe that the rule should allow that we present.
Well, the question of HR, I always understood if you're discussing performance or anything regarding an employee,
They have the right to be there.
they have the right to be there.
Correct.
That's the way I understood it. I may be wrong.
No,
For
you're right.
government employees, for private sector, it's different, but for government employees,
I think they have to be, yeah.
Right. Christine, if you can find out.
Yeah, I'll ask the question tomorrow.
you can ask HR that.
Yeah.
I mean, in the past, when we've done this, what we've done was we all had a form and we filled it in, and then we met with the town planner and we went over it and came up with one form. But because we have this 24-hour thing this time, it's different. But we've done this evaluation before.
And when you've done it, was the employee there when you met with the
Yes.
town
Yes,
throughout the whole process?
correct.
I don't know who's dictating the 24-hour thing. Yeah,
The union.
That's
It's in the
an-
union contract.
That's the paperwork. So part of the problem is we've gotten this just over the last couple of weeks here.
Yeah.
There is a deadline by which this has to be done. So
Yeah,
that's part of the problem here.
this is part of their union contract.
I'll ask the questions tomorrow and I'll send you an email and then we'll go from there. Whether or not we have a special meeting, how that needs
We
to
should
happen.
do it in a way that's comfortable with Christine too. We just make sure you stick up for yourself, Christine, as you tell us the answer.
Yeah, I
I'm
might.
serious. I'm serious.
Okay, so Christine, find out.
Yep.
Okay, because that 24-hour thing is the problem. If we don't have to give you the written evaluation 24 hours in advance, then we can just meet at our next meeting and do an evaluation.
Okay. I haven't
But
had.
the evaluation is done by the 5 members of the board. It's
In
not done
executive-
just by one person.
Right.
In executive session.
Okay.
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 So what did you end up doing with the
Um,
priority list? I'm sorry. Do you just, is everybody going to review
The
that?
priority list.
My list is long, and then
Isn't
I
it-
gave you the 2017 list. So I just didn't hear what you said before we started this.
Yeah, I wanted to get the other one done first. Does anyone want to go over this priority list tonight, or do you want to set aside a meeting for just this?
I'd like to set aside a meeting for just this. This is quite long.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I'd like to look at this.
Frankly, there's few things more important than discussing our priorities where we have nothing else to discuss except figuring out the most important priorities. So that definitely deserves a meeting.
So we do have a little time over the next couple of weeks because Penelope Lane won't come back before you, and I don't have any new applications coming in. So we've got a little window to do some of this other stuff that really needs to happen.
Do we have anything that might be on the agenda for the next meeting other than the evaluation?
No, at present, I don't have anything else, no.
Do you want to make the next meeting strictly the evaluation and then the priority list? How does the board feel about that?
That's fine with me and nothing else though, because I don't know how long that's going to take.
I don't know how you guys all feel about the priority list, but I would say the evaluation, the priority list, and the priority list ought to include some substantial discussion about the master plan.
Well, I think the,
I mean, what else is a higher priority? That's, I guess, a simple question.
do you want to go over just the master plan comments next meeting and the evaluation?
No, I'm
Well, that's
happy to discuss the master plan still tonight. I'm not in a rush. I'm just saying that when we start talking about the priority list, planning for the future is item 1 as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
John,
everything on the priority list is planning for the future. So we've already decided to go forth with the master plan. So that's in progress. So
I am gonna talk about the master plan tonight. If you guys can all hang up on me.
Okay, so let's leave the master plan is already on its works and it's being done. This priority list is above and beyond the master plan to be working on where it is in a void with the master plan because other things are being done. So we'll do the priority list at the next meeting so people can be prepared to talk about it. Let's approve the planning board meeting schedule through December 20th. Anybody have any questions on that?
So I did want to suggest that maybe you take off the 28th. That's the week between Christmas and New Year's. Nothing usually good comes of that. We don't have much coming in. So
Correct, we usually do. Yes, take that off.
Yeah.
Other than that, if anyone has any meetings, for some reason they cannot attend, they can let Christine know. We normally aren't. Okay, Christine, you wanted to make some, you have some things
the
to
last thing we have here is the master plan, and what I sent you this afternoon was my mock-up or red line of comments that I went through. So I wanted your permission eventually, if you have a chance to review them over tomorrow. I'll just kind of go through them now, but then I can send them to Helen so we can kind of be moving. I'm really concerned about the data, to be honest with you, in the like the population data and some of those demographic things. She went back to 2010, and then she used some estimates that were much higher than ended up being the case. So I'm really kind of encouraging her to get other sources for things. I mean, I've given her the town report, those type of things. So those have some hard numbers in it. And I've given her some of the school evaluation forms. So I'm going to push pretty hard on that. But for the most part, I think it was pretty good. So I'll just go through page 1. At the end of that first section, the life in Dartmouth, I kind of wanted her to take out, I recommended that she take out realizing a better future for Dartmouth. I think that sounds very negative. Like, I mean, Dartmouth's future isn't bad and bleak. So I wanted that.
Madam Chair, can I just add a comment?
Go ahead.
I didn't see this email till 5:30 this evening, so I haven't even had a chance to.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. I just want to give you the highlights, and then you can be thinking about it, and you can give me back your comments. You can review it over the next couple of days, and then ultimately.
Yeah, all right. I don't have anything in front of me, so.
No, I don't either.
Okay, so I think part of the concern here is that I've asked for comments a few times at a few various different meetings for different sections, and I haven't gotten any. So I kind of am trying to, or I've gotten comments from one person, I should say. So I just wanted to get the ball rolling and let you know kind of what I'm thinking about. You don't have to approve anything tonight. You don't have to do anything with it, but I'm just trying to give you an overview of where I stand and some of the concerns that I see. So when you're reviewing it, you can look at my concerns too.
No, okay. Again, I don't have anything in front of me, so I.
Okay, so you've had it the past few meetings, so everybody.
No, but not your. We haven't had your comments, so
yeah. No, well,
you haven't received my comments because I don't have any comments. No comments. But I was waiting for your comments, and I didn't get them till.
Well, then I can put this. I can put this on the June 29th agenda too, if you want. Instead, if you'd rather do it that way.
Yeah, preferably, I don't appreciate getting material at the same day as the meeting. I don't have enough time
Again,
to
I've been working
to review it.
positions in your office, so I'm doing the best I can. Yes, it's
Yeah,
not.
no,
it's
I'm just stating my preference. I know, I understand the circumstances. It's just that I haven't had time to review it. I don't know if anybody else does, but you know, I'm not sitting by my email waiting for it to go.
No, but you've had an opportunity, Don. You've had an opportunity to review it. You've had an opportunity to review
Not your comments.
Not my comments. That is correct. But I haven't gotten comments from any of you when I've asked a couple.
And I just told you because I don't have any comments. I'm fine what's written today. So you haven't got any comments because I don't have any. So, but we received a document today that shows your comment.
I was very late. I'm sorry.
I haven't had a chance to review that, and I don't like doing business that way. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I like to do my homework and see things in advance and go through them. I did not get that opportunity today.
Christine, may I make a comment?
Go ahead.
First of all, I thought all of your red line comments except for one were good, and they were careful, and they improved Helen's language. You had one question where you inserted by whom for the word that, and I'm not sure that's grammatically correct, but we're talking very, very small potatoes. You might fix that by the next meeting. But the more important comment is we have had the first 3 chapters and then later the 4th chapter from SERPED. We've all had that. I read it. I did send you 2 different emails, a long one today or yesterday and a longer one like a week and a half ago. I want to make sure that the substance of those comments gets discussed by all of us. It's not just for me to comment on this plan. Everybody must have some ideas about the plan. And the one thing I want to say about your comments, which I think are very important, like me, you came at it from a different angle, but like me, you had some real concerns about the population data and the 3 different ways by which they looked at them, 2 of which seem to agree that numbers are very low growth, 1 of which was dramatically higher growth. We as a committee, since this is our plan ultimately, we hired SERPED to help us draft it, but it's our plan before we submit it to anybody to vote for approval. And we need to know what the hell we're talking about population growth and so on. So there's a lot of meat and potatoes, never mind the grammar, that we need to spend some time talking about. And we have time because due to COVID-19, we're only in chapter 4 and there's like 7 or 8 chapters altogether, maybe 9. And we should probably have an addendum due to COVID-19. So there's going to be a lot of work to do before this is done, but we as a board need to set aside some serious time to talk about the substance of this plan, no matter what SERPED does. It's not like something we're delegating to them to write. We have to write it. They're helping us get the framework built, but we have to write it before we're done with it.
Christine, a lot of your comments were just grammatical in some way or another.
Well, no, I have some questions. So like the thing that Steve referred to on page 2, she gives a statement about what is required of a master plan, but she doesn't say that it's the state that requires that, or it's, she doesn't give which organization is saying, making that statement. So it's not real clear to the general public where that comes from. I mean, so it's things like that. I mean, some of it's grammatical, some of it is real concern about the numbers and I think there needs to be, you shouldn't be going back to 2010 data. I know that the 2020 census has not been completed yet, but there are some real hard numbers out there. You don't need to be using,
right,
from 2015 based on 2010 data. That's just not, it's somewhat concerning to me. So that's the biggest thing I was trying to get across. I think one of the things that Steve had brought up, and it was funny because I had thought the same thing as well. We refer to climate change and resiliency, and obviously now resiliency takes on a whole other meaning. It's not just the economic part of the town, but it's the town surviving in a crisis like that's happening now. And that's something that SERPED hasn't done. And this is an opportunity for Dartmouth to take it. They were hesitant to even put the climate change piece in, but now this resiliency piece has to be in there too, because if the towns aren't going to survive the same way that they did 6 months ago. I mean, every town is going to be different. Every city and town, it's going to be different going forward. I mean, we can't even get the doors open to the building, right? I mean, we're having our meetings different. It's going to just all, and I think that needs to be covered in here. And this is a big opportunity for us to move forward with that.
Right, and on that part, I think we definitely need the Board of Health and the Board of Health involved in that. We can't do that on our own.
No, but we want to at least make Helen aware that that needs to be in there. You know, I don't want to rush the process and have little workshops and, you know, give out cookies and soda and whatever, and not get some of the things that need to happen, you know.
Right, right.
This is a big opportunity for you. Like I said, I mean, you know, so they weren't all grammatical. I just wanted to open the line of communication. I'm not saying anything has to be approved tonight, but I want to get her thinking, and I want to give her some responses as she's giving us material, so she's not running off doing things that we don't necessarily, you know, are need or are looking for. So I'm just trying to keep the process moving. Yes, was it too late tonight? Yes, it probably was too late tonight, but I'm not looking for any approval tonight. I just want you to think how I'm thinking, so that you understand where I'm coming from, and you know, how you should be looking at this critically as well. You know,
I'm looking at what you sent me, and I don't see where you made plans. It's not highlighted on what I have.
So you have comment sections, and then some cases I redlined it, and then in other places I put a comment.
Okay, is the red line what I see on the left-hand column? Just a little red line?
It's on the right-hand side.
Red text, and then there's a comment bubble when I want to think about it a little bit more.
I didn't get that.
It doesn't show up that way in the way you
no, it doesn't show up that way on mine.
Suggestion. I think your problem is with the new tablet or whatever you're reading that email on. You need a copy of Microsoft Word, and you need to tell it to show the red line comments.
This is coming in Word.
Well, so the technical person can show you how to turn on the red line comments.
Right, up at the top, usually in Word, there's an opportunity, but I can also print it out as a PDF and do it that way, you know.
No, you know what? I want a hard copy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I know you and I had talked about that before.
Yeah, I want a hard copy, because I think that's the only way I'm going to get this. I mean, I'm not unhappy except for some of the figures with what's written. There's not much I really want to change. There's a few things here and there. That's why I didn't send you anything, because I wasn't really totally unhappy with it. But in order for me to see your changes, see, like I do have a change here. I have one change. That's all I see on here.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't understand why I have just one change. It's highlighted. It's interesting how it's. Oh, I now have another change. I have one word highlighted. I'm losing the whole thing. Okay, I want a hard copy. I think that's the only way I'm going to really be able to look at it better. Okay. Do we want to put this on at the next meeting?
Yes, I certainly recommend that we do.
How's the rest of the board feel?
Yep.
Okay, so the next meeting agenda, unless we have an emergency with someone for something, we're going to have evaluation, master plan, and priority list. Does that sound okay? And the evaluation will be an executive session. So that has to be put on the agenda, and it has to be posted as an executive session. Anyone have any problems with that?
Nope.
No,
And Christine?
I have one request of Christine. Because of the rules about what we can do in terms of talking to each other between meetings, which unless it's just one person to one person, it's banned. You sent everybody copies of the 2 emails I sent you in the last 2 days. I'm not sure and can't remember whether you sent everybody else on the board a copy of the long email that I sent you 2 weeks ago when we did chapter 3 from Serpent. But if everybody has that, that's good. Otherwise, if you could send it, that'd be good.
But I'll send it again. It was in everybody's package at the last meeting or the meeting before that, but I'll send it again.
As long as they have it. I want to talk about these things with the committee. I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to you because that's the only way that I'm allowed to talk to my colleagues. What I want to do is talk to my colleagues and get the feedback. I could be wrong about something. There could be a good debate about something, but I want to have a real discussion about all those issues. So I want to make sure everybody has the information.
So please send it again, Christine, because I don't recall seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it, but yeah, just send the whole thing again to everybody.
Yep.
Just send it in the packet.
Thank you.
And Christine, I'll make an appointment to come in and get hard copies of everything, okay? I'll call you.
Okay.
May I make
Anybody
one
else?
last comment before we adjourn tonight?
Sure.
My one last comment, and I want to make really sure that this comment is made as a criticism of the process, not a criticism of any of you or any prior planning board members. But I just want to state my opinion, and I recognize it's my opinion alone. Others may not agree with me. But I felt on the 2 votes that we made tonight on matters of substance that came up to us from third parties before we got to our general discussion at the end. Unfortunately, because of the way current laws and rules are written, I feel like we voted almost exactly backwards. We put the town in a position of having to subsidize 30 cents on the dollar of a development that would be better off if it never happened. And then when we had a chance to save this farm on Elm Street, we voted not to recommend to the select board. Now I realize they may not be able to afford it. I totally understand why they may not be able to do it. But if we could have done anything to give the town an opportunity to do something to preserve that farm for the future, that would have been a good thing. And if we could have done anything, which I realize we can't under existing rules, to stop the subdivision of Windsong Acres, that would have been a good thing too. So I really want us to talk about changing the rules that prevent us from doing what's really best for the town in the next 30 years. I'm not criticizing anybody for doing and playing by the rules that we have to play by now. I get that. I understand that. And I've signed a lot of charts in my term as clerk in my short time on the board. But we really need to think harder about changing the rules about what makes Dartmouth a better place in 30 years. And it's not going to be a better place if we keep making all the taxpayers pay money so that 6 people can make a profit off of a subdivision. And we're really doing that constantly, and that we need to really think about that. And I want to do it right and do it with your collaboration and discussion. I'll back off if I'm wrong on the facts, but I can't keep signing off. And that's why I abstained tonight. I can't sign off on things that are doing the wrong thing for the town in 30 years if we can possibly help it. Anyway, end of speech, but I just really want to talk to you all about it, and we need to make time.
Windsong did fail, so that isn't moving forward at this point.
I understand that, but I feel badly for the guy. The guy did his best to play by the existing rules, and I feel bad for him, and I wasn't trying to stiff him. The only thing that went wrong is we didn't get a chance to really talk about what would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, so, but that in that particular case, you got to the place that you wanted to be at.
You're right, Christine. I did. I understand that, and that's why I did it. But I just want everybody to know that this is not a matter of personal criticism or squabbling. I just feel like we voted almost exactly backwards tonight. We approved Windsong Acres for an A&R, even though we didn't approve the other thing.
No, that's not.
No, we did not.
We didn't approve it.
Well, they have to come back. You're right. No, you're right. You're right. They have to come back.
They might choose not to come back. They don't have to. It's not an A&R. There is no subdivision there.
Right.
There's nothing.
Okay, I take your point. So in that case, you're right. I did what I wanted to do. I also feel badly that we
could have voted no too.
Yes, you could have voted no.
You could have just said no, like Margaret had done.
Right.
You know?
Well, if I was forced to pick, there were reasons to go with, John made a lot of good points. That's why I abstained. I couldn't really, in good faith, choose that one was better than the other. Right. I just thought that neither was better than either of the two.
Okay.
And I really felt bad for the Morgan Horse Farm. I mean, I really feel for those people. I want to do right by those people. The town would be well served if we could scare up the money or get a donation to just take it off the roster altogether, but we didn't recommend that. I know the select board could vote us down for lack of money. I get that. But I just think that we should try really hard to save those spaces whenever we can.
Anyone else have anything to say? Okay, so our next meeting is June 29th. It'll be by Zoom again, I'm assuming, until the town hall opens up to the public.
Yep. Well, Laura, the Zoom worked a lot better for you tonight than it's ever worked before, so that's a good thing.
Don't forget town meeting on Saturday morning. I don't have any more details yet. I'm assuming you all received your packages that are meeting members or voting meeting members.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Okay. So
Yep.
the way it's going to be, we're going to have the aquifer protection with the map. That one is going forward. The FEMA one, as I have said before, that one is not. We're going to be withdrawing that one. The citizens petition, one of you is going to withdraw. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the select board one for the change to the marijuana. I don't know if they're going to withdraw that or not. These are all at the end of the at the end of the meeting, and then the other one is the signage one. We will be going forward with that one.
Christine, did I miss something? Why did the FEMA one get withdrawn?
The FEMA one, FEMA told us we had to withdraw it. Everybody had to withdraw it. Because Serped had kind of put out letters for all of us. Some people were afraid that they weren't going to get their town meetings done in time, and in time to make that July 8th deadline. So they've said that everybody has to withdraw it because they couldn't have some people accepting the new maps and some people not accepting the new maps. So even though we were ready, the select board decided to make us as part of that petition. So that will come back before us at a later date, but they might change some things as a result of it.
That was for the state of Rhode Island and Massachusetts, right?
Part of, yeah, some of the communities in Rhode Island and some in Massachusetts in this particular case.
What time does the town Zoom meeting begin on Saturday?
10 o'clock. Are you a town meeting member?
No.
Okay, so you can watch it on whatever. I think it's on I think it's going to be on DCTV live.
And is it recorded and streamed as well?
Yeah, they're all
I'm
recorded.
assuming it is, yeah.
Yeah. I'll watch it. I may or may not be at 10, but I'll be watching it.
You won't be able to attend because only town meeting members are being given the password.
No, he said.
Okay, well, so be it. Then that solves that problem, but I want to watch it later in any case.
Right, you can watch it. I can guarantee you it will be shown on DCTV a good 20 times.
Okay.
And it might be shown live, so just
Yeah,
'cause
that's what I'm thinking it will be.
and you can't watch it live. It may be broadcast live. I don't know.
It says it will be
It
live.
will be live.
It will
You
be
just
live,
gotta
okay.
know.
So yeah, you can watch it.
Yeah, but it does, for my purposes, it doesn't matter whether it's live or just after, as long as it's before
Right.
our next meeting.
Yep.
Anything else to come before the board?
No, ma'am.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
Second.
Do I have a second? Motion to adjourn was made by Margaret, seconded by Kevin. Margaret,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Lori Ann Miller, yes. This meeting is now adjourned.